Hello, welcome back to Microsoft Excel 2013 Step by Step. This is Chapter 3. In this chapter, you will know more about naming groups of data, creating formulas for calculating values, summarizing data that meets specific conditions, work with iterative calculation options and automatic workbook calculation, use array formulas, find and correct errors in calculations. Microsoft Excel 2013 workbooks give you a handy place to store and organize your data, but you can also do a lot more with your data in Excel. One important task you can perform is to calculate totals for the values in a series of related cells. You can also use Excel to discover other information about the data you select, such as the maximum or minimum values in a group or cell. By finding the maximum or minimum value in a group, you can identify your past salesperson, product categories you might need to pay more attention to, or suppliers that consistently give you the best deal. Regardless of your bookkeeping needs, Excel gives you the ability to find the information you want. And if you make an error, you can find the cause and correct it quickly. So first task is naming groups of data. For that we need the exercise vehicle miles. So let's start chapter 3, vehicle miles. Select cell C4 to H4. Okay. No, G4. Right, okay. Okay, in the name box at the left end of the formula bar, enter V101 last week. 101 last week. Please don't use any space because space is not allowed. And then press enter to create a named range with the name V101 last week. On the formulas tab, in the defined names group, click the name manager to open name manager dialog box. You see now V101 last week. And I click V101 name. Now you see that the reference is miles last week. And then you can change it to H. I'm sorry. No, I'm not willing to do that. I'm willing to change only this here. Right, so once again, name manager, Then let's do this here, and then refers to. Okay. Some of the files, some of the versions allow also just typing in. So some of the functions are with typing in. Then the others are what you saw. You only have to select. This is the only chance how you change it, and after changing, you have to get it accepted. Click close the name manager now, and select C5 to H5. And in the define, name new, define name new name, define name, and a new name dialog box appears. Then in the name field, please enter V102 last week. And then once again verify that your selection is from C5 to H5, and then say OK. In cell A1, enter the formula sum V102. Now you see already the out of it. It's completed it. All you have to do is just double click on it and then done. Additionally, what you can do, let's say here, sum using formula V101 last week, and also done. So sure, your calculation is over now, and you can start with creating formulas to calculate values. Okay, after you add your data to a worksheet and define ranges to simplify data references, you can create a formula which is an expression that performs calculations on your data. For example, you can calculate the total cost of a customer shipment, figure the average number of packages for all Wednesdays in the month of January, or find the highest and lowest daily package volumes for a week, month, or year. You just realized how you could actually create the formula. You start always with equal, and then as several functions, you know maybe sum, average, count, max, and mean. So all these are very well used functions. Now there is an interesting function which normally can come to every kind of exam. It's PMT. And there is another function as well, now. Now function displays the time Excel updated the workbook's formulas, so the value will change every time the workbook recalculates. The proper form for this function is equal to now, break it down, break it off. And PMT calculates payments due on a loan, assuming a constant interest rate and constant payments. To perform its calculations, PMT function requires an interest rate, the number of payments, and a starting balance. The elements to be entered into the functional code arguments and must be entered in a certain order. That order is written as PM T rate pair PV and type. Now rate is the interest rate to be divided by 12 for a loan with monthly payments and by 4 for quarterly payments. NPER, the total number of payments of the loans, and PV, the amount loaned, and FV stands for the amount to be left over at the end of payment cycle. Usually it's blank, which indicates 0. And then type is 0 or 1, indicating whether payments are made at the beginning or at the end of the month. Usually left blank, which indicates 0 at the end of the month. Okay. Now you also have to know what's the difference between relative columns and rows, so it's C4, absolute columns and rows, which is $C, $4, 10, and relative columns and absolute rows, which then would be what? C relative column, right? And an absolute row is 4. And an absolute columns and relative rows, which then would be $C and 4. Okay. Now in the count exercise, you will create a formula, manually revise it to include additional cells, create a formula that contains an Excel table reference, create a formula with relative references, and then change the formula so it contains absolute references. You need for this IT expenses. So if necessary, then click the summary worksheet. If not, then it's okay. And then in cell F9, press type in equal to C4. Okay, and press enter to create the formula and to display the value of C4. It's equal, right? And select F9 and enter SU. To erase the existing formula and display the formula autocomplete list, which contains possible functions to use in the formula. The formula autocomplete list, click Sum, and then press Tab to change the contents, the formula bar to Sum, bracket on. Click cell S3, and then press Ctrl Shift down arrow. Ctrl Shift and down arrow. Okay, so one more time, F3 and Ctrl Shift down is to select from cell C3 to cell C8. Now enter the closing bracket and then press enter. Now you have the sum in cell F9. In cell F10, enter sum equal to sum C4 C5. Make sure that you understand in the future I might not even mention equal, I just would say the function name and then press enter. In cell D4, enter sum C3 to C4, close, and then get back to C3 and then press F4. And then enter. Click the cell D4 and drag the cell fill handle until the selection covers D8. The formula keeps the cell reference $C $3 absolute, but change the second cell reference to reflect the new cell's position relatively to the original formula. On the tab bar, click Junior Labor Sheet tab to display the June Labor worksheet. Then F13, enter sum J to display June summary, the name of the table in June Labor worksheet in the formula autocomplete list. Press Tab to extend the formula to read sum June summary, and then in F13 enter sum. Let's close it, then it's done. Once again, now let's do sum this bracket this time. So this bracket this time, and then you need region or labor cost, labor expense. Click the labor expense, then tab, and once you're done with it, you can close the bracket twice. 1, 2. You see each bracket becomes bold once you close it. Okay, now this is done. Thank you for your attention. Let's continue with summarizing data that meets specific conditions. Now we have yet another very useful table that explains a few functions with its descriptions. These descriptions you can find also once you start using these functions. Average ifs, count A, count blank, it counts the number of cells in the range that are empty, and counts the number of cells in the range that are not empty, count A. Okay? Count ifs, if error, sum ifs. Exam questions are usually covering these things here, and these things here. You can use the if-error function to display a customer error message instead of relying on the default Excel error message to explain what happened. Right? So if error, VLOOKUP, blah blah blah, customer not found. Okay. More explanation I want to make. Instead of explanation, I will start with packaging codes. And in G3, enter the formula if F3 larger or equal than 35,000 request discount, and then no discount available. I close it. My problem is that I use German regional language as the standard, so I have to use semicolon and not comma. But once you use only English version, make sure that you use comma. Now click G3 again and drag it down to G14. Okay, in cell I3, let's take the average if. C3, C14, and equal to box F3 to F14, and then close it and then enter. Same here, you see the problem again. I also used, once again, comma, what you have to use, but my Windows is set to German territory. Right, and then in I6, let's do sum ifs. F3, F14, C3. Sorry, once again, I need this semicolon. C3, C14, and envelope, semicolon, E3 to E14. And semicolon, and then equal to international. Let's see if Windows is actually case sensitive or not, because at this time I used envelope if you check it, envelope in a different way and international in the right way. No, it's not case sensitive. Case sensitive would mean that this wouldn't be accepted because envelope and with capital letter is not the same like envelope with lowercase. Make sure that you understand in programming environment, this is a huge difference. Working with iterative calculation options and automatic workbook calculations. Automatic is the default setting, which recalculates the worksheet whenever a value affecting a formula changes. Automatic except for data tables recalculates a worksheet whenever a value changes, but doesn't recalculate the data tables. And manual requires you to press F9 or click the Formulas tab and click the Calculate Now button to recalculate your worksheet. This is ultimately actually different from our files before. Let's close these tabs and we open Savings Incentive. And then in a Formulas tab, click the option Calculation Up and then click Menu. Calculation Options Menu. In B6, type B7 times B9 and press Enter to display the initial result of the formula, which is now $1,600. Note that this result is incorrect because the gross savings minus the savings incentive should equal the net savings value, which it doesn't. Press F9 to recalculate the work. I cannot do it because I'm recording this and F9 is actually the shortcut for pause. So all I can do is calculate now, and now it's okay. Click the File tab. Alright, click the File tab. And in the options, the Excel options dialog box. Okay. Press F9 to recalculate the worksheet. The correct value, well, it's already done. We don't need it. Click the Formulas category label. Formulas category label and select the Enable Iterative Calculation checkbox. Here you see it's selected actually. And then close and then press F9. I already did it, so it's okay. Now, using array formulas. Most Excel formulas calculate values to display in a single cell. For example, you could add the formulas B1 times B4, B1 times B5, and B1 times B6. The consecutive worksheet cells to calculate shipping insurance costs based on a value of the package's contents. Rather than that, rather than adding the same formula to multiple cells, one cell at a time, you can add the formula to every cell in the target range at once by creating an array formula. To create an array formula, you enter the formula's arguments and press Ctrl-Shift-Enter to identify the formula as an array formula. Now this is what we are going to do as well, I believe, with the fuel surcharges. This is also a new file which we are doing here. Okay. If necessary, then click the fuel sheet tab to display the fuel worksheet. Select C1 to C11 to F11. Enter the formula C3 times C9 to F9, and then press Ctrl-Shift-Enter. Get the formula C3, C9, F9 to cells C11, F11. With the cells, okay, C11 to F11, still selected. Click the formula bar, and edit the formula so it reads C3 C10 F10 to F10. C10 F10, and then again click Shift, Ctrl, and Enter. Click the volume sheet tab to display the volume sheet. Select D4 to D7. Then enter the formula B4 to B7 times C4 to C7, and then press Ctrl-Shift-Enter. Here I made a mistake, so once again this is 4, and again Ctrl-Shift-Enter. Now it's done. Okay, this is an easy task. We can continue with finding and correcting errors in calculations, which is a last task. Including calculations in a worksheet gives you valuable answers to questions about your data. As is always true, however, it is possible for errors to creep into your formulas. With Excel, you can find the source of errors in your formulas by identifying the cell used in particular calculation and describing any errors that have occurred. The process of examination of a worksheet for errors is referred to as auditing. You have heard about auditing, I'm sure. Perhaps not in English, but in Korean. Okay, there you have again a few things to consider. The column isn't wide enough. Then the formula has the wrong type of argument. Then the name, the formula contains text that Excel doesn't recognize. The reference is a problem. The division by 0 is not possible. And per A, the formula attempts to use a value that is not available in target range. Yeah, so this is when you start using VLOOKUP or different or basically similar functions. In this task or exercise, we need to open conveyor bit. Sorry. Click the cell D21 if it's not yet clicked, and on the formula step in the formula auditing group, click watch window to open watch window. Okay. Click add watch. And then in the add watch dialog box, click add to add cell D21. Okay, that's D21. And then click cell D8. On the formula step in the formula editing, click the trace precedence button. To display the blue arrow that begins at the cell range C3 to C7 and points to cell D8, indicating that the cells in the range C3 to C7 provide the values for the formula in these 8. In the Formulas tab in the Formula Auditing group, click Remove Arrow button and remove the tracer error. Click cell A1, and on the Formula tab in the Formula Editing group, click Error Checking button to open the Error Checking dialog box, which displays the error found in the cell D21. Click the Next to move to the next error. On the Formulas tab in the Formula Auditing group, click the Error Checking arrow and then in the list, click Trace Error. Blue arrow appears pointing to D21 from cell C12 and D19. These arrows indicate that using the values or lack of values in this case in the indicated cells generates the error in cell D21. On the Formulas tab, in the Formula Auditing group, click Remove Errors to hide the errors. In the formula box, delete the existing formula and enter C12 divided by D20. And then press enter. The value 14% in cell D21 appears and the change is reflected in the watch window. Click cell D21 again, and then on the Formulas tab, the Formula Auditing group, click the Evaluate Formula button to open Evaluate Formula dialog box, which displays the formula cell from D21. Click Evaluate 3 times, 1, 2, 3, to step through the formula's elements, and then click Close to close the Evaluate Formula dialog box. In the Watch window, click the Watch in List and delete Watch to erase the watch. On the Formulas tab, Formula Auditing Group, click the watch window to close the watch window. Actually, I close by X, and then this is also done. Thank you very much for your attention. We just have finished chapter number 3. Have a good day. Bye.